Hi everybody, Dr. Suneel Dhand, internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video. We have gone drastically downhill in healthcare and medicine over the last couple of decades or so, exacerbated over the last few years in particular. Our medical institutions, our medical societies, our medical journals have really become overtaken by a radical ideology. And this goes hand in hand with wokeness, make no mistake whatsoever, and look no further than our top medical journals. Only one viewpoint is allowed. You're not allowed to ask any questions, you're not allowed to have alternative viewpoints, anything else will be censored. To hell with that, we won't even publish anything which doesn't follow our narrative. Yes, that really sounds like real medicine and science, doesn't it? But let's talk about the New England Journal of Medicine, supposedly one of the world's premier medical journals, certainly the premier medical journal in the United States. Now, I think this medical journal is complete and utter trash. I cancelled my subscription to this a long time ago. 15 to 20 years ago, it was much more respected, but even that is questionable because you always have to ask questions. Because like most other institutions and top medical journals, there are enormous corporate interests involved. And those corporate interests have sadly resulted in a lot of misinformation. Yes, misinformation being spread. We can go back to the 1960s and a key article that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine that was published by Harvard scientists that were found to be corrupt. They were basically paid off by the Sugar Research Foundation. And this article that was published, go back and read the story yourself. It's fascinating. I've talked about it before in different lectures, in different videos, but let's just say that these Harvard scientists were paid off to say that the blame for heart disease, which was becoming an epidemic, was dietary fats. Dietary fats, not sugars, carbohydrates, and processed foods, which is where the blame should have been laid. But they laid it at the hands of dietary fat, and that started an enormous cascade. But it all started with corruption and a publication in the New England Journal of Medicine. But I digress. Let's go back to what the New England Journal of Medicine is today. Because as well as having enormous corporate interests like every other medical journal, it is also completely overtaken now by a radical ideology, a political ideology. So let me share with you some of their recent articles. I did this several months ago, but it's time for an update. The United States top medical journal. Look at some of their articles just recently. So remember, this is supposed to be a medical journal, the New England Journal of Medicine. Let's take a look here. Structural ableism. A whole article on structural ableism. I haven't got a clue what structural ableism means, so if anyone wants to comment down below and educate me, feel free. Resilience, the last thing we need. Seriously, resilience, the last thing we need? I thought resilience was one of the best human traits to have, no matter who you are. Racial affinity group caucusing in medical education. Diversifying the physician workforce. Well, I have to say this, as for medicine, I can speak for the United States and the United Kingdom. If you want to be completely honest, and I speak as an ethnic minority myself, actually, the physician workforce and medical school intake for many, many years, this is even going back 20 years, has actually been more diverse than any other field. Actually, ethnic minorities, if anything, if you want to be honest and talk statistically, many ethnic minorities are actually overrepresented in medicine. Because of course, medicine should all be about ability to get into medical school, your CV, your academic achievements. That's it. Air pollution, mortality, race and social class. The climate gap and the color line. The climate gap and the color line. Remember, this is a premier medical journal. The injury equity framework. Reflections of a black program director. Public health policy to end mass incarceration. Fossil fuel pollution and climate change. One can certainly talk about and debate climate change, but this is a medical journal, or so I thought. Fossil fuel pollution and climate change. Mandatory reporting of emissions to achieve net zero healthcare. Yes, indeed. What a great priority to have. Fossil fuel pollution and climate change. Protecting pregnant people and babies from the health effects of climate change. Oh yes, I forgot. Nowadays in healthcare, the politically correct thing to do, it's pregnant people, right? It's not pregnant women anymore. Pregnant people. But we have to talk about it in the context of climate change. That's what real doctoring is all about, right? Communicating statistics on the health effects of climate change. equity and obesity treatment, expanding Medicaid-covered interventions. Let's completely forget and gloss over the fact that many groups in the United States, the poorest groups, are forced to eat a diet high in fake, ultra-processed, cheap, addictive foods that basically cause mayhem for their health. Let's forget that. Let's focus on giving them medications, giving them injections, regular injections for the rest of their life. Let's completely neglect the root cause, because that's what we do with compassionate woke medicine, right? And look at this one here, published in the last couple of weeks, the origins of the pandemic virus, why it matters, and then they put why it doesn't. That one takes the biscuit, a health journal saying that there's a reason why the origins of the pandemic don't matter. Let's just gloss over it. Can you believe that? But what's happened to the New England Journal of Medicine is really not a surprise. This has happened across many institutions, and I'm glad that I don't read the New England Journal of Medicine anymore. I look at the headlines often just for comedy value, but this is what happens when an ideology takes over medicine and science. And who suffers in the end? The patients. Of course, it's always the patients that suffer when those in charge of healthcare are not focusing on what really matters, not focusing on really helping people. They are obsessed with these political platitudes instead. So that's all I've got to say about that, but I will leave you with a quote. Woke medicine will be proven to be the most disastrous thing to happen to healthcare since records began. And almost every single academic medical center, physician leader, and medical journal is complicit in allowing this once noble profession to go down the pan. Thanks everyone for listening. Let me know your thoughts down below. Check out my online academy and my Uncensored platform. Those links are also down below. Hit the like button if you like this video and the bell button for more similar videos in the future. We will talk again very soon.